person.
Yeah, he calls him Puny Banner, and he wants to kill him.
He talks smack about Banner. There have been times when the Hulk has taken over indefinitely and has not allowed Banner to come back, to transform back into Banner.
Yeah, well, there was a story not too long ago. I think Mark Waid wrote it.
The Doc Green one?
No, this was the one, the Stay Angry arc.
Okay.
That there was a time Bruce Banner had gone mad, pretty much. He'd become a mad scientist and was on the run and was going crazy. He'd gone crazy and obsessed with the idea of finally killing the Hulk. He wanted the Hulk. He wanted rid of the Hulk forever. So he was kind of nuts, and the whole point of Stay Angry was he was the Hulk. Like a lot of Hulk comics, he's Bruce Banner. He becomes the Hulk, but in this one, he had gotten some of his intelligence. Like he was functionally intelligent. He wasn't just this pure rage beast at the time, but he was trying to stay angry and stay the Hulk, because every time he transformed back to Banner would have him strapped to a fucking rocket or something. He'd wake up strapped to a rocket or getting like fucking brain surgery, or he'd wake up in these weird ass places where Banner was trying to kill him and torment him. And every time he would wake up, the Hulk would find a note that says play this, and it'd be like a videotape, like a camera and like a videotape, and the Hulk would play it, and it would be Banner mocking and taunting him, saying, let's see you get out of this and whatever. And so the arc was called Stay Angry because he constantly had to stay angry so that Banner couldn't take over. And he was exhausting kind of his physical and his mental capacities to do it. And it was actually a really good arc that kind of showed the duality of the Hulk, where they are two different beings. They're two different beings that occupy the same space in our universe that have to share space. And
yeah.
It's that's one of the other reasons why I love it, because it's so weird and sci-fi and complex, the relationship with Banner and the Hulk.
Now it gets a little more interesting when you discuss not only Banner Hulk, but that also in there is Grey Hulk.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as Joe Fixit, which this character, yes, as we said earlier, the Hulk was originally gray, but due to ink problems and things like that.
Yeah, or whatever the truth of that
is.
I mean, that's that's when he was the mob leg breaker for a little bit. He had amnesia.
And that was when Peter David took over as writer of the Hulk, which Peter David is a fantastic writer.
Yeah, great writer of the Hulk too. And I like his. I think he did some Star Trek and Star Trek novels.
He did X Factor. So the Grey Hulk is literally the one he's the bad personality.
Yeah.
He will do all the really bad things, but he's not unintelligent either.
That was right around when McFarlane was doing him too, I think.
Yeah.
I think McFarlane did some of that.
And he's kind of, in that way, he kind of looked a little bit like maybe like Gargoyle or Hammerhead a bit.
Yeah, he just, and he wore a suit.
The
Hulk wore a giant suit, which was kind of funny.
And he's shown up from time to time, the Grey Hulk has. But the way they put it, the way Peter David kind of wrote it was that it's kind of like split personality, that you got Banner, and then there in Banner is Green Hulk and Grey Hulk. But when the transformation happens, because of the Green Hulk and his power, he usually will overtake Grey Hulk, and that's the Green Hulk's the predominant personality that will manifest. Not
that's
the Grey
that's
Hulk.
the gamma rage monster that
yeah.
that is kind of uncontrollable rage.
Yeah, and with the Hulk, you get the other Hulks. Just to touch on them for a little bit, first you get She-Hulk, which is Jennifer Walters, which is Bruce Banner's cousin. Which
was a car accident that she was in and had to get a blood transfusion.
She had to get a blood transfusion, which, interesting enough, was one of those arguments that led to Chief and I. It was one of many incidences that led to Chief and I creating our first show that we ever did, because someone on Twitter was somebody had asked a question about the origin of She-Hulk, and they said, oh, well, She-Hulk was exposed to gamma radiation. So to which I came back and said, actually, no, she had a blood transfusion from her cousin Bruce Banner, which the Banner's blood mixed with her blood, which made her become the She-Hulk, which She-Hulk she can Hulk out. We've seen She-Hulk Hulk out, but for the most part, even in Hulk form, she retains her intelligence, she retains her common sense and her reasoning.
Which I attributed to the fact that she never got hit with a full blast. That's exactly what you're saying. She never got hit with a full blast of gamma. So she just had the blood transfusion, and so she retained some of her humanity.
So this person was like, well, it was still getting exposed to gamma radiation, and I'm like, no. It was gamma-radiated blood that she came in contact with. Now, you could say you're arguing semantics about that.
Well, and it's not radioactive. Essentially, it's gamma-mutated blood. Yeah. It's gamma-mutated. It doesn't necessarily contain radiation anymore. It's just the cells have mutated.
But I think when you're talking about the origin, if you say she was exposed to gamma radiation, that's a completely separate thing.
Well, that implies that she was hit with a blast of gamma radiation. Then that's not the case.
Yeah, that's definitely not the case. So you have that. You have Red Hulk.
Yeah, which is Thunderbolt Ross. To jump back a little bit. Traditionally, one of the cool things about the Hulk that I've always liked too, being who I am, is that the Hulk is a rebel. He is a rogue agent throughout the world. He is a monster of scary proportions. When people hear the Hulk is coming to their town, they flee. The Hulk's main enemy, really, throughout the Silver Age was the U.S. government, the Army. And, I mean, he had supervillains and stuff, but he was constantly hunted by the U.S. military and still is in some cases today. Well, he did go work for S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while, but recently. But one of the Hulk's main nemesis was the military. The military was constantly after him, and a lot of times he was fighting Thunderbolt Ross and running away from Thunderbolt Ross. And eventually he becomes the Red Hulk. And they've allied together at times too.
Yeah. Now you also have a new Red Hulk, Robert Maverick. Now this character was introduced in U.S. Avengers. I want to say it was in U.S. Avengers, and now he's also Red Hulk, but basically, now he actually was in New Avengers Volume 4. But as Red Hulk in U.S. Avengers, which happened last year in January, this Hulk, it's kind of like they call it a Hulk plug-in, where he can become Red Hulk, but only for like an hour at a time. So he's a Red Hulk, but he's not. It's only for an hour, so it's not like.
Was he in that? I'm not real familiar with that character. Is he from the when they had that like superhero program thing that the government was doing that Red She-Hulk was trying to bust into?
He first started in Avengers Standoff, so it was in 2016. I mean, he's a very brand new character.
Okay, that's probably why. I don't follow hardly any of the other new Hulk characters. Like I did love the Red She-Hulk series,
which is Betty Ross.
Yeah, that's Red She-Hulk is one of my favorites. Red She-Hulk was kind of an anomaly too because she could go full Hulk. She was Thunderbolt would become he become huge like the Hulk, but he still had his faculties and stuff too. He was still a smart guy. Red She-Hulk has two stages. She can become like Jennifer Walters and become like just a big red woman that looks totally normal, but she's big and red and strong. And then there is a second like Super Saiyan level of true Hulk out Hulk that Betty Ross can achieve, that she does. And there's a great arc with, like we were talking about last week a little bit, with Man-Thing, Machine Man, and the Nexus with Red She-Hulk. That's a really good arc if you ever get a chance to go find it. But that was just a few years back, too. You have to go find the Red She-Hulk series maybe a volume back, maybe.
Yeah. There's also Lyra, who is from an alternate timeline. She's a She-Hulk. That was the daughter of Thundra and 616 Hulk. So she's an alternate future She-Hulk. And then, of course, you have the new one, Amadeus Cho.
Yeah, and you have Hulkling, too, which is...
Well, yeah. We don't discuss Hulkling.
No, I hate Hulkling.
We don't discuss Hulkling. But those are your main core Hulks. The thing with Banner is the fact that when you talk about Banner, he's first of all, wasn't Banner part of the Illuminati at one point?
Yes. Doc Green. He was Doc Green,
Yeah,
and him
that's
and
right.
Beast would play chess together.
That's right. Doc Green. He's been an Avenger. He's been a Defender. You know, he's always been there. He's this classic monster.
More hero than anti-hero, I think. I think a lot of people think of the Hulk as a monster, but the Hulk uh, basically is a gentle being
He
that
loves
just has a
puppies.
lot of rage. Yeah. Well, that's how that was one of the things I loved about I think it was Indestructible Hulk was the series they did that in. But and Ed Coulson from TV's Agents of Shield was in that
Yeah.
issue. It was actually his dog. they put they had what they do basically in Indestructible Hulk. What I liked about that series, and I met Mark Waid and had him sign my first issue of that, by the way. What I liked about it was they basically Bruce Banner had been on the run from the government forever. Shield was always looking for him. Maria Hill was looking for him everywhere. She couldn't find him. She goes into a diner, like in the first issue, and sitting right there in her diner that she's chosen to eat at is Bruce Banner just sitting at the table waiting for her. And she goes, "He's like, you're a wanted man and all this." And he's like, "Look, I got a proposition for you." He said, "I could put out twice the output of Reed Richards and Tony Stark combined. I'm smarter than both of those guys. Hire me, give me unlimited cash, give me my own lab, and when you need the Hulk, rage me out and drop me on it, whatever you need. And just give me what I want." And so that he could kind of work on, he'd kind of made this agreement with the Hulk. I'll let you out for certain amounts of time when I need you, and otherwise you have to let me have my life. So for a while that worked out. Bruce Banner was working for Shield, and I think it was in that right in that first arc they had need for they found an AIM base, which had advanced idea mechanics for people that don't know. It's sometimes associated with Hydra, a group that develops technologies for supervillains and evil billionaire corporate guys and stuff like that. They develop technology basically, and they're kind of outlaws. So the Shield is constantly looking for these bases. So they find an AIM base, and they basically fly over the AIM base with Bruce Banner, and they just shove him out of the plane. No parachute, just send him sailing toward the ground because they know before he hits the ground the Hulk's going to take over and he's going to be fine. So they basically just push him out. He falls. He destroys the AIM base, and while he's still raging, he's destroyed fucking everything. He's just leveled the whole place. Then they got to fly over and drop the puppy bomb. And so they fly over and they drop a crate with a parachute, and it lands and opens up, and it's full of puppies because the Hulk loves puppies. And when the puppies jump all over the Hulk and are licking at him and stuff, he starts laughing and starts becoming Bruce Banner. And one of my favorite lines is Coulson in the comic book is like, "I don't know what's scarier, watching him destroy that entire." I'm paraphrasing, but he said, "Watching his destruction and his rage, or to hear him laugh." I don't know what's more disturbing.
I think it's also with Hulk. It's good to also mention that within the Hulk comic books, you had the first comic book appearance of Rocket Raccoon. He originally first appeared in the Marvel magazines.
It's 271, I think.
What was in the magazine? The Sword and the Star, or the Star and the Sword, or something like that.
Yeah. The magazine appearance is yeah. The first comic book one I think is Hulk 271, if I got that right.
Yeah. And then, of course, one of the most important characters in Marvel, Wolverine, first appeared in The Incredible Hulk.
That's true. And of that, I have his first cameo. I've got 180, don't have 181. Still looking for 181.
That is a big one. My shop had one, but it was like ripped up, and it was still way out of price point.
They jumped like three to get off topic. But when we went to C2E2 the first time, I saw one for like $350 that looked like it was at least a 4. Yeah. I mean, it looked pretty good. I went back the next year after we went, and it was like $800. Like, holy fuck, the big price jump in that book.
Very big price jump. But throughout the Hulk's history, I mean, he's coming back. They killed him off they killed him off because at this point in time, a lot of Marvel heroes, especially the old